Hi guys, welcome to a very exciting game. We've got Pat Dunford versus Joshua Fink. Two amazing players with great rosters. Lexa, do you want to fill us in a bit about this matchup?
Yes. This is an interesting one on kind of a meta level, as Finkster is the last Oceania player in the bracket at this time. And Pat Dumford is well known for across the Bifrost and is the only came in as the only um, defenders roster in the top 16 and is one of the two people who survived the cull. The other one being uh, Jabberwock, who won his match. So we may have some Cinderella runs happening in this league as well.
Jabor's playing Web Warriors, isn't
He is.
he? Yeah, so the other one is... gosh, I've forgotten his name, that's awful.
The other Web Warriors player?
Sorry, the other Wakanda player that we've got left in the cut.
Oh, yes. The other Wakanda player that we have left in the cut, I had it a little bit ago. Give me a second. It would be Mike DeLuca. Mike DeLuca is the remaining Wakanda player.
That's right, Mike DeLuca. Yeah, he's slightly different Wakanda. He's got the most different Wakanda roster compared to the other ones I've seen. Looks like they're just talking about terrain. We've got a size 5 building over on the side, size 4. So we've got Angela in Joshua's roster. So these size 4s that you can see, they might be incredibly relevant in this matchup. And a good amount of terrain around here. So it's quite a dense terrain map here, which will maybe play if Wakanda can get priority and play one of those Angela matchups that they like. Then I think that will play well. I'm not sure that's what they will do though. Looking at the rosters, let's go into Josh's roster. This is kind of like a classic Wakanda roster. It's very similar to one I would build if I was building a Wakanda roster. And often you'll win priority and want to play Angela. But I think something he might be considering is trying to force a Gamma Wave. That would be a very strong play, I think, as well.
Yeah, the Wakanda Wave is a traditionally strong build since season 2?
Yeah, I wrote an article about it back in like March last year, so it's been around a while. So I'm sure Pat's got a plan, but my experience, he's put Nebula in here. I think I would have liked Nebula to be a full threat like Medusa, so you can play a strong beta list of something like Strange, Gem, Scarlet Witch, Medusa. I think that's got good game into Wakanda Wave just to take the attrition to them super early. Looks like Pat's just making some minor amendments to his roster. Looks like the roster hasn't loaded according to what's in TTS.
Yeah, it's missing a secure. An extract.
Missing an extract, yeah. So he's just fixing his roster up. They haven't rolled for priority yet. I'll bring that to you as soon as we get it. But I think, again, if he gets priority, Pat's more likely to want to choose secures, try and bring that. Probably Demons is what he'd veer towards, get a nice big 19 team, throwing Scarlet Witch through a portal and backing it up with people like Valkyrie and Iron Fist, some people who can do some damage. Okay, here comes the priority roll. Ooh, 4 for Pat. It's a great, but 4, and so 4 from each. And Josh with that crit is gonna take it. So it looks like Wakanda have priority. Big rolls from both sides, but just go in advantage Wakanda.
And he's chosen secures.
Okay. So again, maybe
and very quickly.
Yeah, I suspect that means he wanted Gamma and got Gamma. So I'm expecting a Gamma 15 here. No, 14 sword, again, just playing on the fact that you've got that 6 threat leader and cubes. I say 6 threat leader because Pat is mostly playing this with portals. So needing to take the soul gem in order to turn on the turn 1 portals, round 1 portals. For threat, given that they've gone for 14, I'd be very surprised if you chose 17. I'd be expecting 14 threat.
Yeah. This does allow a like beta list with Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, and a 3 threat, if I'm
Valkyrie.
remembering my math correctly.
I've played that
Possibly
list.
Valkyrie?
Yeah, I've played that list on this setup, and it's still pretty good. Pat might want to go slightly wider and take something like instead of Scarlet Witch, take Iron Fist and someone like Okoye. I can see that too. Iron Fist can still put out some decent damage. He's got access to those mystic attacks, which are great inside the opponent's Okoye and Black Panther. And it just gives you more people to carry cubes and more people who've got 2 power. So you've got that kind of Asgard advantage on the grab a secure and an extract at the same time in round 1. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Pat go a little bit wider, but it's unlikely he's going to go wide enough to match Josh. And Josh is probably playing off that, thinking that Pat can't go 5 wide. I don't think that's entirely true. He could play some kind of 5 wide roster, and maybe he's thought about going unaffiliated or leaderless. I don't think defenders get a lot out of being leaderless, but yeah. So interesting to see. I'd expect one of those 2 things from Pat though. And what would be your 14 for Wakanda then? Your core of 9. How do you fill it out to 14?
You need a 3 and a 2 there.
Yep.
Or you go tall with a 5, and then this list, from what I remember, has the MODOK in it. That might be the play.
I think on cubes as well, you've got to consider Angela. Just thinking, maybe I think if you think Pat is going to go 3 wide, then it's much safer to go 4 wide because you retain that last activation, and that strong power on sword going last really is really strong on this setup. So going first and going last would be great, and getting the cube play with Angela. Suddenly Pat's going to be in a bit of a hole there.
Yeah, but I'm also looking at it's a question of if you're trying to play the extract or the secure for that 5-point model. Because if you're trying to play the secure, MODOK is probably the better pick because of his walk that you can compound with the sword-based push.
I don't know. Angela being a long mover and easily moving between them whilst also making attacks and her placement effects, she can potentially interact with all 3. So she's got a good game on this secure as well.
That would, if I'm right on this, that would actually leave Josh playing a point down. I don't know having never played with him, whether he would be comfortable with that. I've always thought it feels a little bit strange to me doing that.
I don't think it would be, because you've got the core of 9 for Black Panther, Okoye, and Shuri, and then a 5-point, 5 plus 9 makes 14.
Actually, I was thinking more if you've got Angela's 5 not 4. That's
Yep.
me. Yeah.
So just to introduce my co-commentators, we've got Lexa White, who joined us for the previous. Say hey, Lexa, so people know who's you.
Hello, I am Lexa White, practitioner of the Morlocks podcast and all-around spice rack.
And we've got Chris from the north of England.
I always say the middle of England.
Right, middle of England.
I guess it's all north to you, but
well, I grew up in Devon, so pretty much even Bristol was the north.
Fair enough. But no podcast to shill here, unfortunately, and apparently I'm going to need a calculator for the rest of this stream if that was the.
So taking their time, sensibly, I think. Here we go. It looks like Pat's ready and happy. He has gone 5 wide. He's gone leaderless 5 wide to try and make sure he's getting the most out of that secure. But
so he is out activating the Wakanda list.
Yeah, Wakanda has gone with Angela, trying to leverage that cube play. So I think Pat might be kicking himself. He could have gone 4 wide and still gone last, but he didn't know that. Yeah, I think Josh would have been quite wise to have gone 5 wide as well and just hedge that and edge it out. But he has got, Wakanda can pivot really quickly and heavily into attrition. So I don't see that this is going to be like not playing to your strength, and taking down a couple of models quickly can easily swing it around and make it so that he doesn't have priority, which I think is what you really want with this skewer.
Yeah. But just to run down the list for people, on Wakanda's side, we have Black Panther, Shuri, Okoye, Angela, the list that Jacob was talking about, with Field Dressing, Bitter Rivals, Wakanda Forever, Medpack, and Advanced R&D as their tactics cards. And then for Pat Dunford, we have Okoye, Iron Fist, Valkyrie, Enchantress, and Nebula as the team, with Field Dressing, Bitter Rivals, Heroes for Hire, Advanced R&D, and All You've Got.
I particularly like Heroes for Hire in there. I think that's been a really good addition to the game. So we're starting to get deployment, and Okoye going somewhere in the centre. It's kind of the spot I'd expect Angela to go in, but maybe she's fine going slightly offset.
It's a spot I don't think Angela can fit in with that piece of terrain there.
I think her base would fit on there, but maybe you're right.
I think it would be just a little bit too wide.
So we've got Iron Fist coming over to one side, and I'd expect Valkyrie on the other, so that they can go and grab these cubes and interact with a sword, both of them generating 2 power.
I'm interested in the All You've Got versus Medpack choice on the restricted cards.
For sure. I think often Black Panther is a great shot for Medpack. Any extra health you can get on him almost counts, not double, but extra because of those counting blanks. And you really want to try and prevent him from being flipped over. He becomes a lot easier to take out. But without the easy access to Mystic that defenders would normally have, we're going to see it a little bit harder. So Enchantress does have a Mystic spender, but she has so many other things she tends to want to spend her power on.
Good morning, Norbert and Ulysses. How are you doing this morning? We have had the first appearances of people in chat.
Yeah, welcome, chat. Let us know if the audio levels are good. If you need someone louder or quieter, give me a shout and see if I can fix that. Chris, what's your take then? So seeing these lists, who do you think's got the early advantage here?
I mean, traditional wisdom always you look at single Wakanda across the table, and you always feel Wakanda being one of the strongest affiliations in the game. You always sort of naturally want to lean towards them. I've played a lot of sword base recently, however, and going 5 wide on that seems to be the way to go with it. And having that last chance to flip one of those, and with it being a 3-point swing, I found to be absolutely massive. The downside I found with that, of course, is that unless you've got it set up right, you're on a 50-50 dice roll, and despite it being 50-50, they seem to go wrong at exactly the point you wouldn't expect them to. So
I expect the later in the game, at least, I expect the Valkyrie activation to be last.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's got advanced R&D, so I can see first round Valkyrie double moves, throws, R&Ds a power onto her, and then flips. So I think he's got that option available if it pans out that way.
The other interesting point about it is that they are matching activations that can actually interact with the objective. While they will always get a last activation, Nebula, it forces Nebula never to have to be the last activation.
Interesting. Angela's gone up on that top side. So she's looking like she's threatening to pick up a cube and interact and do kind of that Valkyrie style play that we talked about. Again, she's going to have 2 power being Asgardian. But that means she's not doing the safe grab of the cube in the middle. So there's going to be a proper fight for that central cube, which is going to be interesting to see.
And it's also, I think that's a smart play because, well, with the Angela one, you could get away with it. But if it was anybody but Angela heading in there, they have the advanced R&D for the turn 1 steal with Enchantress, so that middle cube is probably just Enchantresses at this point.
especially where she's been positioned there. She's saying, if you want to come up there, then I'll have that off you very happily. Again, R&D could be. I suspect R&D will get used round one way or another.
Yeah.
And we're seeing Valkyrie go up on this top side, so she's threatening a double play on the extract and secure.
The other thing I want to note about the Angela placement is she's hovering around two very large pieces of terrain.
That's true, yeah. She's got that. Size 4 truck is going to be right behind her, and size 3 Daily Bugle is going to be just in front of her.
Yeah, right under the objective that everybody's going to be playing for.
Yeah. So she's got some nice options there, especially with her ability to attack, place, and then throw. Yeah. So here comes Angela.
Angela going first.
So we're assuming...
but that terrain has some awkward placement where she can't first action get to the sword base.
That's true, but I think you want to end on the sword base, don't you? I mean, you could go to the...
You generally do, but...
And in cover,
if they want to
put that size 3.
Yeah. But it's like, if they wanted to protect the Angela from any potential turn 1 shenanigans,
I don't think
they may have wanted to do...
Yeah, with Valkyrie and Okoye facing off against you, I'm not sure you're too worried about your Angela. She might take some damage, maybe from an Okoye spear or something, but I wouldn't be... I think she's better off being on the point, forcing you to spend your power to throw her away, which Valkyrie can do, rather than running away and sort of staying safe, but not making you spend your power. So Angela's moved up here, grabbed the cube, going to auto flip that console. Sorry, Chris.
Do we think Pat will go across with... I'm just wondering whether Pat would go across with Nebula here, maybe have a cheeky blaster pistol shot to try soften her up a little bit, bearing in mind that he's got a full set of rerolls now she's holding the objectives, or whether he's going to hold her back and see where the rest of the team, where the rest of the Wakanda team goes.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's Angela that would not be the play, because Angela negates offensive rerolls.
Ah, of course.
Okay. Pat, looking here, looks like Okoye is going to go up to grab the middle one and sit behind. This is a size 3, so someone sitting behind that, you can't see them if they're size 2. So I like that play because that gives Pat the extract advantage, potentially, although Black Panther might be eyeing up that cube that's in front of Valkyrie. But it maybe forces you to commit Black Panther a bit deeper, as opposed to putting him on that central one.
Yeah, it certainly commits Black Panther to be within range where Nebula can one walk get to you, maybe even no walk get to you with blaster pistol shots while you have an extract.
Yep. So yeah, Okoye's going to come up here, and I suspect she's going to grab the cube rather than the sword base interaction. Although Pat could be considering an R&D to do both, but I suspect that's not what he's got on his mind.
Yeah, so at the very least he's picking up that cube. And we have put the official token down.
Yep. So Shuri's coming up by the looks of things. She's the person on that side that's going to grab that cube. But that may, and probably come and stand on the console and force Enchantress to come up and Siren's call her away, maybe, so that Iron Fist can then go and interact with it.
Well, with the way I'm looking at it, I would be looking at Iron Fist, seeing if he can get an angle from that cube where he can also kick.
I think that big Punisher van, the size 3 Punisher van, is probably going to block line of sight to all of that.
Yeah.
But something that if you were thinking I'll stand on that Punisher van to get cover, I think not being seen is better than getting extra mods on your defense dice.
Yeah.
Looking at pushing Okoye away.
He could push her away.
That's interesting. He'd need to get a line of sight, but I think he's lined up his range tool, and you can see there's a line, if you look at the shadow, which is going past the building, so would have line of sight to Okoye.
But that leaves it so that Iron Fist can walk up to that far console, easily flip it with getting the cube, and then Enchantress can go over and Simon's Call that middle one, and you don't even have to worry about the Angela point.
That's true. And Valkyrie could maybe use her power for something else. Yeah, I think... Because if you look... I think Okoye is going to struggle to get down to this bottom console. I don't think she's going to be able to double move here. Shuri's going in with an attack. Getting the auto push and looking for a skull to get some power. Pat's rolled his defense dice in. He's not following the timing because he doesn't think that Shuri's going to spend any rerolls on this anyway, I suspect. So a skull there. So Shuri gets 2 power. She gets the damage through.
And a push.
So that's as good as Josh could have hoped for. And getting the damage through on Okoye. Getting some early damage on her. Oh wait, there should be no... Pat had cover, but because he rolled a skull, he couldn't modify that into a cover. So that's why she took a damage.
Yeah. We aren't playing Web Warriors affiliation here.
Yeah, you forget that it's not just rerolls, it is any modification, including cover. So getting cover off your skulls, always nice. I think that position's not too bad for Okoye. Okoye is still going to be in range to bodyguard whoever does go onto that central. Central console.
And especially if you put Enchantress on that central point, you cause the fun interaction where they have to pay for Enchantress before bodyguarding.
Well, what they do is they choose whether they're going to pay for Enchantress, and then you choose whether you're going to bodyguard. So you can see whether they've lowered your defenses. That is
but it
nice.
looks like he's pushing Valkyrie up there.
I think because he's realised no one can get this bottom console. I think Okoye is not going to get there. I still don't love Valkyrie going up there. I think I'd probably go with Enchantress. You're right, but maybe that's why these two are playing in top 16 and we're not. I tell you what he's doing is he's trying to take away that Black Panther goes and gets the cube play. That's why he's activating Valkyrie now. So I feel like maybe Josh didn't want to take that cube, but that would have taken him 3-2 up on extracts as opposed to 3-2 down, and he's probably going to lose the sword base. And Wakanda going...
Yeah, so this would be a 6-2 split.
Yeah, seems likely.
It's looking like.
And
which is not pretty for...
Being 4 points down on round 1 is not their game plan.
Yeah. They have been doing a good job of keeping their characters out of Nebula's threat range.
That's true, but then that means they've been staying back and not engaging with the crisis. So if a 2-threat character is causing you to not come forward and not score any points, then I think that's an excellent use of 2 threats.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very valuable use, but it's of note because I get the feeling he's actually going to very aggressively push his Nebula.
Yeah, so Valkyrie's going to come in, use that second power, flip that console. So, unless Valkyrie gets taken out, which I don't see how that would happen. I don't think Black Panther's going to be able to...
reach her
in
one move.
A long move and a range 2? No, he wouldn't be able to because she's max 1 back. And you can't single move to be within range 1 of the objective. Yeah, so Black Panther can't get there without using Wakanda Forever, and this really doesn't feel like a great time to use it. So I think that's going to be, all 3 cubes. Well, 3 of the cubes to Pat and 2 to Josh. And unless Pat makes some hideous mistake, he's going to get the sword bases as well. So Josh has got to be thinking now about round 2 and probably getting some serious attrition work done. And very wisely, Pat has stayed a long way away from Angela.
Yeah. Um, It looks like that
That was a
Finster
pass.
passed.
Yeah, well, he's probably got to do it at some point, or else you give him 2 activations at the end. And again,
Yeah,
just
which
respecting Nebula, I think, is what's going on here. So Iron Fist paying power to get the cube. It's going to move up again to within 1 of the console, pay another power, and take that console. Hiding from Shuri behind that size 3 Punisher van.
Making it so you can't do that double value push 2 people off the points with Wakanda Forever move.
Well, because these are pay to flips, that's a lot less valuable.
It's a lot less valuable, but you can flip the one and then cause disruption on the other one.
Or you can do that at the start of your turn and then move, interact, or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've got Wakanda owning the top console, Defender's owning the middle and the bottom console at the minute. If I just go around slightly, you might be able to see the images a little bit better.
Josh now going in with Okoye. So I think he's going to risk the... Yeah, I think he's going to go in and risk the dice on the console.
And even if he does manage to flip this, we still have that advanced R&D Simon's Call off of Enchantress to play with.
Yeah. So I think Pat, if this does go against him, it just brings out advanced R&D round 1, which we predicted was going to happen anyway. Okoye is going to stand in that position back so that Nebula can't see her, or will at least have to give her cover if she does what Shuri did and goes wide enough to get an angle round.
I don't know if she can go that wide of an angle and still make it because she's size 4. She's range 4 instead of range 5.
But she's a long mover, so she's got more to play with than Shuri does. So,
I don't know the math off the top of my head.
Yeah, just that trigonometry, it's hard. Okay, looks like we're going for the flip here.
Here comes the roll.
And no.
Doesn't get
And
it.
a no.
So I suspect Black Panther's going to be coming in and trying that again, which it's. I think Pat will be very pleased with that. There's the power sink, denying the power. Black Panther, if you get some power on him, can really help with that attrition that Josh is going to have to lean into. You might see Shuri going first on Josh's turn and pushing people towards Angela. So, okay, this is tricky. Pat's trying to accomplish the same thing that we talked about, but I think you can see that range 3. I don't think he's going to get line of sight there. They'll probably have Art come in and our table judge and check that, but he might just look at it and go, no, I don't have line of sight.
Yeah. That's going to be real tight.
I think if you look at that shadow, if you look at that shadow, I think Pat's pointing it out to Josh there. I think he does have line of sight to her, and he's going to be outside of 2, so she's not going to
get her general, her martial artist.
Her blanks count, yeah.
But she's within 1 of an objective,
so she will get cover.
So she, Nebula will get full rerolls off of this.
Nebula gets full rerolls, but Okoye will have cover, but not the blanks. So we're going to see, here comes the defense roll. Pat's pausing for the timing for the Wakanda rerolls if he wants to trigger any of those. So Okoye's got a reroll, a possible Wakanda reroll, and cover to help with her defense, but Pat's got a crit.
And potential upgrade rerolls.
Yes, Shuri's got a power on her. I think Shuri should have 2 power because she did roll a skull.
Yes. It's Black Panther is showing as Shuri on the side. So there's 2 Shuris.
Yes, on the overlay. Yeah, you're right. She does have 2 power. Okay, so what happened with that? We have they're measuring.
Very strong defense roll.
Yep, we're measuring, and it looks like it is in upgrades range for Shuri. So decisions being made about paying power. Looks like Shuri's paid 1, and Okoye's paid. No, hasn't got 1 to pay. Wow, 4 blocks. It's looking very good. Here come the rerolls. It's possible.
Yeah.
Some great
No
dice from
damage.
Josh there, but early salvos.
But that is power expenditure.
It is, and it means that Okoye won't have Bodyguard online next round. So, I think that's
Yeah.
kind of fine. Also, Nebula gains power from the attack, and that might just be all Pat was after, just to get that extra power off Nebula.
'Cause that means next turn she can shock sword assault, if I am remembering my math
Yep.
correctly.
Yep, that'll put her on
You
3
would be able
power.
to.
Yep. And again, that's range 3, 6 dice energy, so that's going to be great for potentially taking out Okoye. I could one-shot her with 6 dice with all the rerolls. Can do a lot of damage.
Yep.
So Panther's moving up, and Josh is having to take the role and force Pat to use the R&D play in order to get rid. Although if Panther's in there, it doesn't guarantee
Can't
it.
get rid of both of them.
Yeah, can't get rid of both of them.
Yeah.
So this is going to come down to some dice rolling here as to who gets the early VP advantage in that all-important push.
But it's looking like he's looking to spend for Wakanda Forever. But I don't think he has the power for it.
Shuri's got a power. You could just Shuri push Valkyrie off, and then that would guarantee the flip. Which I would want to be saving Wakanda Forever for a bit more attrition work, I think.
Ooh. And that is a real close. I could not tell if that was within range for
The Bodyguard?
the Bodyguard.
She doesn't have the power for it at the minute anyway, so that would only be relevant for next round.
Very fair.
So Black Panther's coming in right next to this to be within 1 to interact with that console. Do you think Enchantress can double move over to the top console? Siren's Call Angela off. It might not matter. No, it doesn't matter. Josh got unlucky. Yeah, 2 rolls and hasn't got what you needed to flip that console back. So it's all a bit academic.
Do you double move Simon's Call Angela into the back and then push off? And just start to neutralize that Angela advantage?
That would put still. So you've moved him moved her 2 shorts. So that's what 4, 5, 6. Yeah. She's still going to be able to get an attack off onto your Enchantress. I think if she does that. I think Pat's a very conservative player. Having Enchantress next to Okoye is always a good plan. Having a bunch of people in the centre when he's not facing many area attacks effects. I mean, Black Panther's Spender can be devastating against a bunched up group, but he just doesn't have the power for it at the minute. So possibly just saying, I'll go in the centre. If you take one of my guys out, I'm still going to have people who can make good attacks, and I'll get rid of one of your beaters.
A beam onto Mr. It would require clipping Valkyrie, but he could technically attack Black Panther.
It would clip Valkyrie. I think there might be a line there where he can get an attack on Panther without clipping Valkyrie. So we've got some power spending going on here. So, yeah.
Panther's going for a walk.
He is. Stage 1 of his grand adventure. He's going to go back towards the board, and I suspect we'll see that will be the sword push choice as well, pushing Panther even further away to that top side.
And just confining the 2 long movers to the other side of the board of the rest of the action.
I mean, they are long movers, so they've got the best way of getting back in, but maybe he comes down and sort of deals with Shuri and properly claims this southern half of the board.
So he only took 1 action with Enchantress.
Seems that way. Yeah, so he could have taken an attack, but maybe he didn't want to give him power for him to pounce back.
Or you could have refined your movement a little bit.
Yeah. And didn't have any power to sap is the other thing. Panther was empty of power. So 6 to Pat, 2 to Josh. He had some dice rolls to try and get that advantage. That wasn't completely one-sided, but he made the right choices. Just the dice didn't go with him. So do we think Angela's going to be trying to come in and do some work, or are you going to start trying to break up this clump maybe with Shuri?
I'm thinking Angela's going to do some work specifically with the
Interesting.
but we are pushing Angela.
Yeah, so that does change it. So the sword push is going on Angela.
But I'm specifically looking at that Okoye with 2 health and a cube.
I mean, she's standing right next to a Valkyrie with 3 power, though. That feels bad if you're going to go into heavy into that Okoye. That Valkyrie's going to turn around and munch you.
Smack you.
Yeah.
So just measuring, checking again, it looks like the bodyguard, I guess. Yeah, he's not going to be in the sort of Xiphos sort of stars range, but that yeah. So here comes Angela back into the fray, and they'll probably check. Yeah, there's the range 4. So you could go into Okoye. That looks like it's just in.
Yeah. And then you can use that to trigger Angelic Assassin and get into Valkyrie.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
As long as you can manage to do 2 damage to Okoye, which is a challenge.
Not when she's not counting her blanks because you're outside of range 2. So 3 dice with a reroll. And Valkyrie currently would get cover from the electrical hut.
Yes.
It's very, very, very tight on the range here.
I think that's probably in. Let's have a look.
It's just, I think it's in by a...
Yeah, that's in.
By a hair.
Yeah, it's by a...
Oh, right. There we go. So just deciding. I think taking down Okoye then makes the rest of his turn a bit easier as well. So with Panther coming in, Panther doesn't have a cube, so he doesn't got power.
Yeah, and it doesn't cede priority yet.
Not yet, but I don't think ceding priority is necessarily an awful thing. Yeah, so we've got Angela paying 1 power. That's for the attack that range 4 attack that he's looking for a hit here to advance forward. He's got the hit.
He's got it.
Only 2 damage though, so Okoye's got a decent chance of surviving this. 1 block already. Be a reroll coming in from Dora Milaje. There we go. Doesn't take any damage, but and Angela gets to move. Now this is interesting because Angela's carrying a cube. So if Angela does come in, then she's putting herself in a position where an angry Valkyrie might be looking at her, as well as some beams from Enchantress. There's
I think especially those beams from Enchantress look scary.
And the well, it's got enough for a Dragon Fang or a Warrior of Legend. But just come in. The thing being,
but it looks like he may be trying to take out that electrical hut.
Because she does have 2 power, so yeah, take out that electrical hut and throw it at potentially a Okoye. It might be in range. Yeah. Pat very wisely staying away from the size 4 terrain.
Yeah, that seems like a very good decision.
He does have field dressing, so even if you did take down Okoye, Enchantress can easily gain a bunch of power off just beaming twice. And then she's standing right next to Okoye, so Okoye could come back up.
Yeah, and you can do... It will be pretty easy to do the field dressing trick on Okoye, where you do it and then go into... before you choose who you activate, and then go into the activation. Yeah.
So that you can still have a full activation with Okoye who can run to that top secure and flip it.
Yeah. They have left that secure vulnerable severely, and Angela can only do one of throw the thing or attempt to flip.
Yeah. So let's see which Josh goes for. I think the attrition. Yeah.
The throw, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. His route to victory here is getting some serious work done into Pat's team. Yes, throwing things at Enchantress. I hear that she's not very good at having things thrown at her.
She does not enjoy that.
Have some dodge. No.
Looks like it went into Valkyrie, actually, with the 3 dodge dice.
Yep. Yep, Valkyrie is nearly down, but now she's on 7 power.
Going to go nuts here.
Yeah, that's enough
Ooh.
for a Warrior of Legend Dragon Fang, and still having 2 power left over. You only need to get, if you get the flurry, you only need to get 1 power off the flurry power gain in order to do another Dragon Fang. Oof.
Are we going to see a Wakanda forever here?
Oh,
And
it's
just
take her out.
out that Valkyrie.
Nah. Is he that worried?
And she'd drop a cube, which I think you just hoover straight up, though, don't you? 'Cause it's not going to be able to.
Yeah.
There's nobody there that can pick it up.
Yeah, but you put it in an awkward position that puts someone like Enchantress out of position.
Well, it's also with that gone, Enchantress can Simon's Call Angela over, and then if they daze or move that Valkyrie with a push, suddenly you get a really clear line with to do a double beam for Angela that does not clip Valkyrie.
Yeah, that seems they're just resetting the tokens, and they'll put the cubes back on the people that are the cube holders. I think I was when the hut got destroyed, they were just worried that the console moved a little bit.
Yeah,
So
that's a very reasonable thing to go and do. But it's this, the far one that Iron Fist is on is the one I'm really worried about. Because with the way they have set up, any member of this team can basically rotate over and get the one that Wakanda already have. So this brawl in the middle won't really matter if you can't figure out a way to take Iron Fist off of this objective and keep him off it.
and he's very difficult to keep off because of that flying kick. You can just you push him off, and he's going to get an attack and move back. So even if you double Shuri him, he moves, does a flying kick, and then there's a chance of dazing them, but then he still gets the roll. Okay, so we've got.
And it may have to be. Ooh, we're going for Wakanda Forever?
Advanced
like
R&D.
advanced R&D.
Yeah, Shuri's handing out 2 power. I suspect one to Panther as well. No,
Yep,
one to
one on
Okoye.
Panther.
No, it's one to Okoye is what he's done. One to Angela, one to Okoye. I think try and have that
So
bodyguard
they have a
up.
bodyguard on a.
Yeah. So
But that's easily disrupted with a single throw.
yeah, that's true. But it makes you spend some of your power. So now we have got
Wakanda forever.
power off Okoye.
Ew.
Yep.
He's going for it.
So it looks like he only transferred 1 to Angela. Anyway. Here comes an attack into Valkyrie, hoping to daze her. 3 hits.
And
Not
that'll
enough.
do it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Well,
She won't get pushed though, so she'll be standing where she wants to be with 10 power next round, but she might just get removed off the board if there's nobody else dazed this round before they act.
I'm interested in the fact that he went first with Shuri for the Wakanda Forever. Because it looked, I could not tell if he paid off, if he only paid for Shuri or if he also paid for Okoye.
It looks like he hasn't paid for Okoye because Okoye's still on 1 power, so it looks like he undid the advanced R&D to not give Okoye power, just give Angela a power, and then so that Shuri could Wakanda forever. Now, drops that cube, which Angela's got 1 power. Well, she could take the central console is the other option.
Yeah, and I think the console is the more interesting option for her. Oh, they're measuring out range 4. It looks like he did pay for Okoye.
Alright, I've got lost in the power math somewhere along the line there.
So he advanced R&D 2 across.
But then... No, I don't know. Because I thought Shuri was on 2 and handed out 2.
She was on 3.
She's on 3.
handed out
There
2.
we go. So she still did hand out 2, and Okoye paid for it as well. And so we should have an attack roll coming in. So, nice attack roll.
Yeah.
So 3 dice. This looks like it's into Okoye. No blocks there. So it looks like he's handing back priority at the minute.
But taking 2 cubes off the board.
That's true. And he is going to get last activation, so he's probably going to get the consoles if he wants to.
You need to be aware of not... you can probably win that middle point, but if you're trying to last activate and like you have the edge point and you're trying to get that far point Iron Fist is on, you can Heroes for Hire yourself.
Yes. And he's got the power to do it.
Yeah, and that might be, and with the throw off of that, that might be a big disruption piece that messes up a plan if they're not realizing that that is an option.
So the central console is now back with Josh.
So this is a really interesting position for Enchantress, because she can move, line up a double beam, and to pick up the cube off the ground and steal the cube from Angela, all in one activation.
Pat is now activating Nebula, and it looks as though he's going for a shock sword assault here onto Okoye.
Which that is not the prettiest shock sword assault I've seen, but that's also not the prettiest defensible I've seen.
He will get the rerolls.
Yeah, 3 of those rerolls, and potentially the crit reroll as well. So Okoye is paying a power to trigger the leadership reroll. Here comes the crit.
That's another one.
Yeah.
And that gives out shock there.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, stun.
And those rerolls really paying dividends.
Oh, that's the way.
So this is, he's rolling his leadership and Dora Milaje reroll at the same time, but that's still going to take her down.
Yeah.
Oh, she got cover maybe?
No.
No, because the putt's gone. Yeah.
Yep. Ooh, and this allows Nebula to rotate into Shuri. But this is ceding priority back to the Wakanda player.
I mean, that's true, but it also probably gives Pat the sword consoles, so I don't think he'll mind.
Yeah.
So, just a blaster pistol from Nebula by the looks of it. But she's going to get to re-roll those 3. Is this Shuri she's going into?
Yep.
Yep.
So Shuri's paying
for
leadership reroll. Well, that evens out the previous reroll 3 that Pat came up all. So, you know, win some, you lose some.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and yes, and Nebula got to place. Nice.
Yeah. Now, is Black Panther going after cubes? I imagine he would, since generally you want to be playing the extract game, the scenario game, not the attrition game with Wakanda. But he's only actually going to pick up 1 cube. And it looks like he's trying to set himself up where he can get an attack on Enchantress. But he does not have the power to pay for the Enchanting Presence.
Yep.
So Enchantress will get all 5 defense dice.
Yeah. That's what we were saying earlier about Black Panther when he doesn't have the power. Not only can you not turn on his stuff, but he can't pay to get around Enchantress's excellent defenses.
Yeah. And especially if he's going to pick up that cube, that means he has no power to play with. And he's setting himself up outside of range of that sword console, so you can easily Enchantress walk over to the sword console, move Angela, and pick up that cube.
Yeah. So we've got Wakanda having the top 2, but I think it's very likely that we're going to have Wakanda holding this bottom one. So the field dressing Okoye to run up to the top still seems like a really good play.
Yeah, for sure.
Or maybe even just Angela double moving up to the top. Now that once Panther's gone, he's only going to have Shuri left. Shuri's not going to be able to double move up to that top one. So maybe just go and keep Enchantress safe and put her far away.
Yeah, it depends on where this push lands Enchantress.
Yeah, it might put her out of range.
But I don't think there is a spot where Black Panther can get both cubes and have a second body on that sword console. If he wants it.
I think maybe there is. Maybe he goes to the cube that's near Okoye's cube first, and then comes in and sits a little slot just inside that gap between Angela and Okoye for the viewers just kind of hear. That might be within one of that cube fragment. So there might be a landing spot there, and that looks like what he's doing. He's going over to get that cube fragment first. Just indicating to his opponent what he's trying to do. Just saying, I'm going to go to range 1 on this side.
But as we said, that does leave Enchantress open to make the double walk over to that far play objective, and it also gives it also allows for an advanced R&D play to move a Black Panther or someone else into a really awkward position.
How do you feel about a field dressing on Valkyrie?
I would be so down for that.
That's a very aggressive
depending on
option.
How Black Panther, depending on how Black Panther lines up, you can do single walk, get 2-person beam to automatically have those 4 power. Then wait until after the Shuri activates, because it will force the Shuri activate, and then you get Valkyrie Iron Fist all in a row.
Yep, seems good.
That seems fair.
I think you could almost do the Iron Fist active. No, you probably don't want to.
And as you were saying, you could do the Iron Fist activation and see if you can get aggressive on that Shuri and get her out of the way.
I don't know. I don't love that. I think the Enchantress one is better earlier.
Yeah.
Because she's Shuri-proof because she's backstopped by Okoye. Now that Black Panther's not attacking her, Shuri can't move her out of the way. Yeah, he's gone for that spot we talked about, and he's measuring to see whether he's within 1. I think he is.
It also creates an option if you do it Enchantress where you walk up and double beam and then look like you're going to field dressing Valkyrie. You force a response either direction out of Shuri.
Panther didn't have the power. Yeah, didn't have the power to pick up the second cube. He only had 1 power.
Oh, that is not pretty.
Yeah, I mean, again, hyper aggressive. Iron Fist could go after Shuri, but kind of needs to take her down with 1 hit. But that would get a cube, because she is a cube carrier. I think probably better to leave her. She'll be on 2 damage. She'll be easier to take down next round. Okay, but he's looking at it.
He's going for it.
He's looking. He's doing some measuring before he commits to what he's going to do this activation. I think they're just discussing the gun coming out of the back of the van and whether they want to play that as part of the terrain or not.
I think looking at it this way, I think that he's activating Iron Fist here because then he can have an unresponded to Valkyrie activation. Because you can, if you field dressing Valkyrie during Enchantress's turn, suddenly you have the option of Shuri just shooting Valkyrie once and then moving, and redazing her that way. And if you wait until Enchantress has activated, she only has to move up and shoot Enchantress, and then suddenly you don't have the room for the field dressing play.
So they've come to a decision about this, how they're going to play this terrain. I was looking at the climb just to prevent him from being pushed away, maybe. I don't think Shuri can maybe she can single move onto that point. Yeah, with a medium, that probably is just about in. So without some kind of push, maybe he's trying to get Shuri to attack and then get the heroes for hire and throw her away so that she can't do it. Maybe he's setting a trap.
Yeah. That may be entirely possible.
And then he's thinking, Enchantress.
And then you get the free Enchantress, where you may even, if you get in single wild, you can also go for the 50-50 flip there.
I see. Enchantress is just not being threatened, so I would have got the beams, got your field dressing set up, and then sat there going, well, sure, you might do 2 damage to me, but she's not pushing me anywhere.
Well, because you would have to move to get the power for field dressing.
No, you just take a beam action. 1 beam action would be enough. So, it's okay from Iron Fist, but that is a great defense roll. I know it's only 1 wild. So, decent defense roll. Shuri, considering she has got the power for a leadership reroll if she wants it. But she's not going down to this roll. She's choosing not to pay for it.
Nope.
So it's going to take 1. And there's no wild in there, so she doesn't get stunned. She take 1? 2 hits, 1 block. There we go. She takes 1.
There it goes.
Yeah, I'd have considered doing those the other way around because I think Shuri's going to go and take that point, and that makes it much harder for Pat to score sword base on this round.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't even thinking about the
field dressing play.
I'd be surprised. He's normally pretty thorough. He's still got all his tactics cards.
Yeah, which is unusual for him.
Okay. It's measuring range 5. Maybe he was there, I guess. Maybe he wants to bring the Shuri rolls away. Maybe he's like, I don't mind losing sword base. I've got a big lead. If Shuri comes down, then we're taking away upgrades, and that makes those characters easier to deal with.
Yeah, especially if you're planning on double beaming with Enchantress as your turn, and then going into Valkyrie, taking out Shuri rerolls is massive from that.
Yeah, we might see a massive attrition swing here.
Yeah. I hadn't even considered that, but that is a very good call.
So it's not unrealistic that we could end up with a dazed Black Panther and dazed Angela. Yeah, that could definitely happen. And maybe he thinks that's worth 3 victory points. And the push.
Especially since there are 3 victory points sitting on the ground right now.
And Angela and Black Panther would both drop cubes. So maybe he's saying, well, that's kind of a decent enough swing. And I'm ahead, so I can afford to have him catch me up by a couple. So what would that be? If they both got taken out, then Josh would get 4 and Pat would get 3. So it's only losing 1 victory point. And Pat's still going to be going last, probably, next round.
Yeah.
But having 3 dazed characters. Interesting.
A full suite of tactics cards left to play with.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah. And getting those characters, Angela and Panther, to dazed in pretty much in one activation. I mean, if I could see a med pack possibly coming in on Angela in the gap between the Enchantress activation and the Valkyrie. Oh, active character, yeah. I'm getting confused with med pack, not med pack, with patch up.
Yep.
So yeah, taking away the ability to med pack.
And I could even see this going into field dressing Valkyrie, and depending on how things go, maybe even all you've got in her to really cement that swing.
I think if you don't, so ideally you don't, you take out the 2 characters you want to take out with the Enchantress attacks and the Valkyrie attacks, because then it's essentially a stagger. It's not quite a stagger, because you've got to deal with her next round. You've got to do that 1 damage to her. So it's not quite a stagger because Panther could pounce into her, or Angela could Cosmic Assassin off her. So yeah, maybe that's better than that. But you're then relying heavily on Nebula to do some significant damage to them.
Which she can do, especially on a flipped Panther. Not as much into Angela because of the previously mentioned her ability to kind of duck on, prevent offensive revulse.
Yeah. Okay, so Shuri's moved twice. She's moved around and then climbed up onto the van and spent a power to interact, stealing that bottom console. So as it stands now, Wakanda controls all 3 consoles.
Yes.
But
Iron Fist can easily get back into position to steal that console, and with Shuri only going to be on 2 HP, that's going to be a real dangerous position and might force out of an early Shuri activation to move Iron Fist where he can't one-shot her.
Yeah, again, maybe Pat's playing the long game and going, I don't need to win the consoles every round. I'm going to have to take the push and pushing away that Iron Fist, so he has to move and only gets 1 attack. Even then, Shuri's quite likely to go down, even with cover.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the beam.
Comes the beams.
Yeah. So we're going to beam into both of them. That's going to generate the 4 power by itself. Even without sapping, there's no power on either of them, so he can't sap on either of them. Second beam he could.
Yep.
So he's going into Panther first by the looks of things. 3 dice. That's an amazing roll. Yep, that's pretty good. That blank is going to count, so that's 2 blocks so far for Panther. Oof. Well, when you roll 5 hits on 5 dice, turns out your character's pretty good.
Yeah, so
3
dealing
blocks,
2 damage to Panther.
2 through, which I think is just a bonus and is going to make it even more likely that Valkyrie could take him out.
Yeah, especially since she has the power for a throw to throw Panther into Angela.
Yeah, that auto point damage is always good. So this one's into Angela, hence the 4 dice, and less good, and blocked.
Oh, yes. But that is 2 automatic power, and we're probably just going to go again.
Seems likely. I'm struggling to think of a could be. Could set up a throw as well, possibly, because if she gets a power off Panther, saps the power of Panther, then she'd have 3 power spare, and can pay for her throw to throw something into Panther. Probably Angela. I don't think she's got a line to Panther.
The other interesting option is depending on what you roll, you may leave Panther on 1 HP.
Yep, okay, so we've got some dice hitting.
And
Yeah, here we go. Here's the roll into Panther. Not as good this time. He's likely to block all of that. I say that.
He rolls 3 hits.
Yeah, he's got 1 reroll. So Shuri not available because Pat sort of baited her down to that bottom area. Oof. Yep.
oof.
Okay, so another 2 through onto Panther.
So you could throw Panther into Valkyrie, leave him on 1 HP to have him daze during upkeep power phase next turn off of the cube.
That's another option Pat might have, yeah. So here we go. This is into Angela. That's not going to be able to sap any power.
And not going to be able to deal anything either. That Angela is rolling well on defense.
Yep, she's doing good. Okay. Gone up 6 power on Enchantress. He's looking at bows. Maybe he's not feeling the field dressing play. Or he's got enough to bow and field dress, yeah.
But I would be looking to bow Angela because Black Panther is the easier target to take down of the two of them, I feel.
But I think he's going to
Just
throw
because of the health differential.
Sure, but he's going to throw a bunch of dice at Angela, and then maybe throw her into Panther, and hopefully deal 1, either take Panther out as well, or deal 1 so that Panther dazes on the cube. So
is Angela size 2?
yeah.
He is.
I keep forgetting that.
So there's 4 power gone off, and there's field dressing.
Field dressing goes in.
Yep, on to Valkyrie. So Valkyrie is going to have well, we'll see. Maybe a big activation coming here. Sometimes she, 8 power. You've got the power to fix your dice and to roll loads of dice.
Would you lead with the throw? Just to confirm you're getting that point.
Oh, throw Angela off into Black Panther, flip the point, then charge.
Yeah.
It doesn't change it. What Pat could do here is completely ignore the attrition, throw Angela off, flip the point, double move, flip the sword. So if he wants to take the VP route, he's got it open to him. So it looks like we've got 3 coming off of Valkyrie. That's a Warrior of Legend. He's looking at what a throw might do. So that 3 could be 2 for a throw, 1 for an interact is the other possibility. So maybe he is.
And then double move, interact, get the VP, and suddenly that's a massive.
And you might still be able to charge someone on the way, so you can still spend it. Yeah, now he's looking at throwing her into Black Panther.
Yeah.
Which?
Well, you could still charge up this way to around where that lamppost is, and that still may be a medium move over here and allow you to pick up the cube on Valkyrie.
That's a possibility, yes. You might be able to get that cube on her. But then she dazes in the power phase if you do that.
Yeah, but that is suddenly another 5 to 3.
So Angela's taken 1 automatic damage, and Panther has taken a dodge. Blocking 2, might block all of them. He's got. You can use Wakanda leadership on defense as well. He's got the power to do it.
On dodge.
Yep. Sorry, on dodge. You're right. So.
But if he blanks out, this is him dazing in the power phase.
He's got a crit to roll in as well, which hasn't. Oh, there we go. So that's the crit and the reroll.
And he takes 1 damage, and so he's going to daze in the power phase, no matter what.
Okay. Interesting. So, let's see what he does with the rest of his power here. Does he just flip, double move, flip, or does he charge, grab a cube? He could maybe pick up the cube on the way. What would that put him on? That would put him on 5. That would put him on 11 to 5. That's a pretty strong position to be in.
Yeah. And having already flipped the middle one, it looks like she's going for the wonder.
Yep. So that 3 power she spent was for the throw and the flipping the console.
Yeah, it looks like she's just doing a safe double move over to the point, which is that only puts it at a 4 to 10 point swing, 4 to end up at 10 points. But that's still really solid.
And she's not going to be dazed now. So she's going to be on 7 power and giving Josh a big headache here. Do you leave that Valkyrie threatening you with a charge back down or a move charge Dragonfang Flurry Warrior of Legend? It's got power for all of that. Yep, got power for all of that next round.
And as we mentioned before, that Black Panther is dazing during upkeep.
And that Angela can be pushed away.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you push her away because she's backstopped by Black Panther and kind of that car in that lamppost. Kind of a box she's in there.
I think you may move Shuri.
I think you move Okoye to move the bodyguard away.
Very fair.
So we are 10 to 5 here for.
Yep. So 3 VP.
Yep.
Because Black Panther's still up at the minute, but he's about to go down. I think that was probably smart of Pat not to pick up the cube. I don't think it changes the maths of ending the game. Maybe he needs to win this round. He needs to keep the control of the consoles, and he needs to get 3 cubes on his characters. But I think that's looking pretty possible, given that there's 2 on the board now, and
1 on that Shuri.
One on the
in
Shuri.
a very dangerous position.
And 1 on the Angela, who's halfway dead. Although I suspect the med pack's going to be coming in to save her.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Do you med pack Shuri or you med pack Angela? But he's very effectively neutralized Shuri from the entire fight, basically.
Yeah, she's not contributing much.
And he managed to keep Valkyrie out of range of the Angela. And we haven't actually seen the push yet.
No, he's measuring some stuff, seeing who he thinks the best push target is. Downside of bringing Okoye out of that range is Nebula's not going to get the rerolls on her. Puts her inside range 2. Looking, there we go. Let's get her outside of range 2, so that at least she's not going to count her blanks.
Pat is playing this game amazingly.
He's making good choices. I really liked the gambit with Iron Fist there, pulling Shuri away. Initially I thought that was a mistake, but it's meant that he's been able to get more damage through and not haven't had access to those Shuri rerolls during the huge amount of damage that went into Black Panther, and that 4 damage that went into him. So Angela's going. Let's pick up a cube. So I think very likely to be med packs then, because once you've got 2 cubes on someone, you'd like them to stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Dr. Norbert that it was a really, really good move that he made. Really good for him that Pat rolled how he did, and he dazed, stayed alive on 1 HP, so he would daze in the upkeep.
Yeah, I think if he had gone down to the throw, I don't think it would have been significantly worse, because then Josh is only on 4. That cube gets spread wider, so that it's harder for Josh to then having to spend actions moving away from the fight in order to go and get the VPs. So I can see it both ways. I think either way, Bat was going to have a good result out of that, as long as he got at least 1 damage through.
And it's looking like Fink was drawing out to see about med packing Black Panther. Not med packing, field dressing. Black Panther with Okoye.
Yep, that's a play he's definitely got online.
But that can very easily be undercut with Enchantress.
Well, you do it, and then Black Panther on the turn Black Panther wants to activate. Yeah,
but that's something that you can just immediately respond with Enchantress and bow them away from Black Panther, so they can't do that.
Yeah, Angela has the power to do it as well, but she's likely to want to go and do more interesting things.
Yeah.
measuring up, looking at Valkyrie as well. It's a really tough call. Chris, who do you go into with Angela?
That's interesting. Because if he's in a rough place here, I'm not sure what I would do in this scenario. And it's quite telling that he's taking the time to think about it. It really does look like he's eyeing Nebula, and she's in a really good spot to go through and put the hurt out at the moment. So I think on balance, I would probably stick it into Nebula, try and take her down, leave myself in a position to hoover up that cube, and then potentially either reposition myself with Angelic Assassin. But is he going for it?
Yeah, he's rolling an attack dice.
Looks like he's going for it.
And it's 6 dice at Zyphos, and the only person in range of Zyphos is Nebula, so I think...
He's gone for it.
Yeah.
I was so busy talking, I took my eyes off the dice for a second.
Oh, that's a good defense roll.
It's going to make it a lot harder. Oof, blocks all of it.
Oof.
I think there's a Wakanda roll
Nebula
coming
still
in.
has her defense reroll.
Yeah, there's the Wakanda reroll coming in. Doesn't do anything for him. Oof. That's
real well.
Yeah. Making that first Angela activation not do anything. It might make him reevaluate what he's going to do with the rest of this activation.
You have the power to walk over, throw the building into Valkyrie, and then flip that point. But I don't know how much that's going to do for you.
No, because then it's basically giving up on that central point. Okoye is going to get KO'd. Yeah, going to get KO'd by probably Nebula.
Either Nebula or Enchantress.
Enchantress might be within 2, which would be unfortunate, but I think Nebula is going to have a decent shot at
Nebula, it. Okoye is out of reroll, out of contesting an objective, so does not get the rerolls.
That's true, but what she'll do is she'll do a pistol shot to get 3 power and then do a shock sword assault into her.
Yeah.
And if the pistol shot does any damage.
Up with Angela?
Yep.
It does look as though we are going across to flip that.
But it will be a 50-50.
No, because you throw the building at Valkyrie.
Building first.
She's not very unlikely to block 4 on 3 dice.
Yes, but she does not have the power to both throw the building
She
and
doesn't.
flip.
She doesn't. You're right. Ugh. Let's check in.
And she's out of the 4 range too.
Yeah. All bad options. That's what Pat does. That's my experience playing against Pat. Pat gives you only bad options, and you've got to choose from this menu of awful things and decide which is the least awful of the things. Looks like the least awful thing is to punch Nebula again. That's a better roll. That's a better roll.
Better roll.
But if Pat gets a defense roll like he got last time, that's 4 currently. She's got 4 health, and she's got that really annoying healing factor-esque ability.
And
Blocks
that's
2 of them, yeah. So he's not going to be able to take her down, and then she's going to heal one of these damage that's going to go through. And Nebula's got a reroll as well. Doesn't need it. Yeah, can't reroll the skull. It's got 2 blocks from the other ones. So crit and Wakanda.
So
taking 3.
But that does give Angela 3 power to
Nebula.
Reposition on that middle point. To just stand on the middle point, flip the middle point, and throw the car into Nebula.
Yeah. She's got the power to throw a car now, but she might want... Did she get the power? Nebula.
If she can now flip that center console.
She's gone up to 5. Up to 4, yeah. So she's paid a power to flip the console, and she also has the power to do something else. She's sitting on hasn't got enough field dressing now, so that's off the board. And Okoye is going to be attacked and probably KO'd. So I don't think Panther's going to get field dressing now. Bit of rivals coming out though.
onto Nebula. So you can throw the card into Nebula and daze her and keep that Bitter Rivals bubble where it is.
Yep. No, she can't throw the... She's only got 1 power now.
She's got 1 power now.
No, so she paid for Bitter Rivals off of Okoye.
And then 2 power off that. Yeah, that makes sense. So defensive rolls come in, no blocks. That's a dazed Nebula. Dazed, bitter, rivaled Nebula. Okay.
But so far that's only affecting Iron Fist.
What it's doing is it's setting up a defensive bubble, isn't it? It's trying to protect Angela and trying to protect Okoye. But I still think it'd be easy for Enchantress to Siren's Call Okoye out of...
it where...
Move out of the 2 and then...
Yeah, move out of the 2. And I don't know if she's within the 3 of Nebula to be affected by that. I haven't seen that been measured.
Oh, you can just double move Valkyrie, throw Angela into, say, Okoye, or more probably Black Panther deal the automatic damage, and then Angela, then you force them either to choose field dressing on Black Panther or med pack on Angela.
Well, I think what you might try and do is charge in, attack Okoye. So you move, charge Okoye, do some damage to Okoye, hopefully. Throw Angela away and throw Angela, do the 1 damage so that you're threatening for her to daze in the power phase again with her 2 cubes on her. And then give some really tricky decisions. And you can also interact with that. So there's the move. We'll see if he pays for a charge. Yeah, he's going to be within 2, so that's what he's looking at. Yeah, so he's looking at a charge. 2 for a charge. Probably... You could Warrior of Legend this to try and increase your odds. I don't think it's worth paying for the Dragon Fang. You're gambling on trying to... Okay, he's going into Angela instead. So he's charging
and Okoye
into...
is not in bodyguard range. I think he wants to keep Okoye down on power.
She's got 3. She's got a decent amount of power. But... she can Spear Blast to get 1 move and be ready for field dressing, or she's got enough to med pack already. If this doesn't do much to... so 4 dice from the Bitter Rivals, and hasn't paid for Warrior of Legend, but I guess on 4 dice it's less good.
Ooh.
Yeah, 2 hits.
That's not doable. That's better.
Yep. So no damage through. But it was a kind of a free attack. Just looking at the throw, throwing her into Okoye. Yep, that's fun. Because it doesn't matter if Angela passes over Valkyrie's base, you can throw over yourself. Just to make sure it doesn't hit Nebula. But then you're going to see a med pack, probably. Well, Josh has got the choice. Does he med pack Angela, or does he throw a spear, move, and be ready to...
I'm not happy with throwing Angela there because you keep her within 1 of the console and make it a 50-50 for the flip back.
That's probably true. Yeah, she probably is still within 1. Here comes the dodge from Okoye. It's a pretty good dodge. Pretty good dodge. Yep, excellent dodge. Takes no damage.
But you have suddenly set up a beam for Enchantress.
that may be what he was looking at, yeah. Got some dice hitting. Oh, he's trying to flip and doesn't get it.
I think he feels very confident about his ability to get that far point that Shui's sitting on.
Yep, seems likely. And also with the beams, he's got Okoye and Enchantress in the centre, and I don't think, unless Okoye pegs it for the top secure and flips that, what to do with Okoye is such a tricky thing here. You could potentially set up a field dressing on Panther, but you're just going to get Siren's called away. You could medpack Angela to try and keep her healthy, because Josh is almost certainly going to have priority next round, and so losing an Angela activation would be real sad, especially if Pat is going to keep control of the consoles and push Panther even further away. So just trying to control and negate those two power pieces, those two attrition focused pieces.
But he may have also just been looking to pop Angela for the win this turn.
I think that was probably crossing his mind. Yeah, can I get all the cubes?
Yeah.
And he might still do that with Enchantress. I think she looks like she'll be in range to drop the cubes and have Enchantress pick them up.
Well, if Iron Fist can pop Shuri, and you can flip that middle point, you can just walk up with Enchantress and steal a cube.
Or just go and pick the one up that's on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. Okoye can make that double move easily to pick up that one on the ground.
I feel like Josh is looking at the field dressing. So he throws a sphere at someone.
This is a really awkward spot.
Well, what he has to do is he has to do it in Okoye's activation, because otherwise Okoye is just going to get Sirens called away. So if this is the line of play he's going down, he's going to leave Panther sitting there on 1 health, and I don't know, Okoye throws a Vibranium Spear tipped, or Enchantress. It's probably out of beam range, but a move and taking down Black Panther is a good activation.
Yeah, move. And then you could...
And making sure you're outside of...
something.
Yeah. Yes, Enchantress has a throw. She doesn't have the power for it.
I'm wondering if she has terrain in range where she could.
There's a size 2 car. You're going to want to move up so you're out of the range 3 of Nebula's Bitter Rivals at the minute.
But yeah, this is just all bad times for Fink Star.
Yeah. And so Wakanda's got the bottom and the middle secure. So Pat needs one more.
But that bottom is really tenuous.
Yeah, because Iron Fist is going to be going last after Shuri's done. Well, whatever. And he's got Heroes for Hire available.
Which can safety net
this is Okoye.
Him onto the.
This is Okoye attacking.
Oh.
Yep. That's a sad attack roll from Okoye. But she's getting a power, which I think is what she wants, and then he's setting up the field dressing play. It looks like the line of play he's going down. This is presumably
measuring Shuri rerolls.
Yep, and that looks like it is within upgrades range. This is what do we think? This is into Okoye? Given that it's 2 dice. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah, he's paying for all the rerolls he can afford.
And it's not going to matter at all.
It's not going to matter.
Damage-wise.
Dice are gonna dice.
But he gets the power, which I think was the main thing.
Which is what he wants.
The damage was a bonus if it went through. He's still got the same choice he has. He's still got the option to medpack. It's not too late to go down that line. And I feel like actually that's more likely to get this game going to round 4. But he's moving. He's trying to stay within 1. And that'll be in range to a field dress Black Panther. Which, if it doesn't happen now, is not happening. There we go. Yeah.
And it's done.
It's happening now.
There we go.
But So I think you probably go with Enchantress, who beams, gets 2 power, can then Siren's Call off Angela and Okoye, and if she saps power off Panther, can then flip it. Or he's still got advanced R&D, he can just take a power from anywhere. Take a power from Iron Fist and use that to flip it.
Yeah, and we still also, depending on how he rolls, you may need to pull into like an all you've got play here, which he has the confirmed power for.
Possibly, yeah. All you got with Enchantment, if it gets you to win, yeah.
And you can just throw that light post at Black Panther.
Or the card, depending on where exactly you position yourself. It's okay. Maybe Iron Fist is going to come and be the hero we need. Yeah, flying kick.
You can advance to R&D to get Iron Fist power.
Yeah.
And then move in Iron Fist into Black Panther.
Oof.
Ooh.
That's a before damage, throw short, and give them stagger.
Yep. That would get her off the point for sure.
That would hurt.
So what's your...
that
taking out
could
Panther
potentially be coming.
Yeah, taking out Panther is going to be the key thing here. So you're asking yourself, what's my best shot of taking out Panther? And is it a throw, guaranteed 3 damage, throwing a Okoye? Or is it... I think you're better off throwing the car with Enchantress. That's guaranteed.
I think he was trying to see if he could walk up and Iron Fist Black Panther into a piece of terrain.
Or just give him and just say, no, you don't get to activate this turn. Who cares whether I actually deal damage? It's guaranteed. You don't get to do something. So he's going with Okoye. Reliable Okoye. He's going to move up and throw a spear into Panther.
Yeah.
She's out of Bitter Rival's range, so she's going to get...
You are reading things right. Angela will score 2 and then pop at the end of the round if this game goes till the end of the round.
Yeah, which would be the second time Pat's done that. That's 2, so it's energy, so Pat's only got 3 dice. And he's not going to get any rerolls. That's the day's Panther.
Oh, that is a bad roll.
That's unlucky. So with just Shuri left, I suspect Josh is going to pass here.
Will he be able to with Iron Fist having the Iron Fist available? He can kick Iron Fist and then advance to R&D over a power to flip that point.
Well, if you kick,
Just
kick generate power.
Auto
power.
The power.
Yeah, there you go. So that gives him the 8, and then you R&D to flip the point. That seems nice. So, yeah, sure, he's trying to get that Iron Fist away.
Yeah, because it's like that. You have to activate Shuri now, or else you're not activating Shuri.
Yeah, that's very likely to take her out. There's a small chance it doesn't, but it's pretty small.
Well, no. Even if it doesn't, it puts an activated token on her.
Of course, and she'll be away. Yeah.
If they don't already have an activated token, it does not do the throw. It just gives them an activated token. But still, putting an activated token, taking away that activation, is very big.
Ooh, I think I'd rather have the throw. Yeah.
I would too, but you're rolling a total of 16 dice into... No, sorry. 13 dice into her. On 2 HP, that is probably going to kill her. And that pops out a cube for you to pick up. And then there's still one on the ground that you haven't picked up,
so
that you can easily pick up.
Shuri's attacking Iron Fist. Great attack roll from Shuri. She always rolls great when she can only do 1 damage. She's gonna do a damage. But he's rolling in the dice.
For that skull.
Yep, seeing if he gets an extra power.
No skull.
Yep. Pretty good Yahtzee on the other results, though.
Yeah.
Iron Fist is going to go away, and then probably go away even further.
I don't think this will keep him out of range where he can't just flying kick into a Okoye.
I suppose he doesn't need that bottom point. By pushing him up there, he can come and do stuff up here. Yeah. So you can push one away. Enchantress can Siren's Call someone away and walk up. But that's not getting them cubes. So...
It would go into another round, but you would daze Angela and her popping 2 cubes.
Maybe you just Iron Fist Angela. You flying kick Angela, go next to her, Iron Fist her, get the cubes.
Well, it looks like you'll have to move to get to that that flying kick.
It depends where the push ends him up. He's in Bitter Rivals range now. That's why they were measuring from Nebula. Takes another damage, gains another power, which he will not be sad about.
Goes for another walk.
Yeah, goes for another walk. So yeah, he's going to be out of 3 of Angela. You're right.
But he can still do it. Because you walk in, flying kick, all you've got, flying kick, advance on D, Iron Fist.
Does that math checked out? You went through that pretty quickly. Run that by me again. So he's going to be on 9 power.
I'm counting on my fingers here.
9 health, so
9
walk,
power. Yep.
flying kick caps him out at 10.
Yep.
All you've got is 4.
Yep.
And then another flying kick brings him up to
7. R&D
and then
to
you
8.
advance R&D to 8. And then you can get one of the 2 people who've already activated off the point. And if you manage to accidentally daze Angela to get those 2 cubes on the ground, you can walk up, Siren's Call,
Well, if you
pick up some stuff.
If you R&D off Okoye, then you can also give Enchantress a power.
Yeah.
With that R&D. So, yeah, lots of options available for Pat. So I think it's still possible that he could ride it out this round. To do that, he needs to get 2 cubes, and that's exactly how many Angela's holding.
Yeah.
And he needs to flip. Currently, we have Wakanda holding the middle and the bottom console. So the best way to do that is to try and get rid of Okoye and Angela. If Angela's dazed, then you're just looking at getting rid of Okoye, and potentially Enchantress Siren's Calling. Could be one way to do that. So Pat's still got the potential to end it this round. But I think it might need some
He's looking to set up a beam, it looks like.
Beam, Siren's Call. I mean, he's in a pretty decent position, especially with Angela going down next round and then pushing away Panther. Maybe he's happy to go to round 4. Maybe he doesn't need to risk it.
Yeah. Because Angela will go down no matter what at this point. If you can manage to Siren's Call people out of the way to flip that point and hopefully even KO that Okoye,
well,
that's a massive frame of advantage, because then Shuri's on 1 HP and they only have one other activation with a dazed, with a flipped Black Panther.
Yep, who will have been pushed away by the sword, because and Enchantress is going to get enough power by beaming Angela and Okoye.
Yeah,
Okoye doesn't have power to bodyguard. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might get some sap power off Angela as well. She's got 2 on her that you could take off her. So best case scenario, Pat gets enough to, if he dazes Angela, then he will have enough to pick up the 2 cubes and walk away Okoye, and then all Iron Fist needs to do is walk in and flip the point.
Yeah, and then that wins the game.
And that wins the game. So if the dice go well for him on this, then it's looking... And even if they don't go well, then he's going, oh well, we go to round 4, but Angela's going to be dazed and Black Panther's going to be really far away.
Yeah. And so will Shuri, and Shuri will be imminently dazable.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe he goes with Shuri early to try and have her do something, because Black Panther's going to be out of relevance for... It's a really hard position that Josh is finding himself in now. We'll see whether he's got a grand plan. He's only got Medpack up his sleeve.
So to answer the conversation in this game, Pat is playing unaffiliated this game. to play 5 wide at 14 points. Rather than take a 6-point leader, he split his 6-point leader into a 4 and a 2 to be wider than the Wakanda, which was expecting him to have his 6-point Doctor Strange in the game.
And maybe even be Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Valkyrie or something. I mean, I think he probably splits that Scarlet Witch into an Iron Fist and an Okoye or a Nebula. But what Pat's done he's got an advantage there in turn 0. He sort of outfoxed his opponent a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Beam going into, looks like Angela first. Yeah, 4 dies.
And Angela takes 1 damage there. She's spending 4 Wakanda reroll here. And gets it, so she's taking no damage. Holy criminy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's kind of big.
That's gonna sting.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have any power for a Wakanda reroll, so she'll get a Dora Milaje reroll to try and stay on the board. Ugh.
Yeah.
After the crits come in. Yeah. It's not going to matter if there's some crits in here.
Oh my god.
That is wow.
Well.
Oh wow.
It's a little bit of overkill.
Yep. There's no kill like overkill. I'm glad I caught my response there. I almost turned off the PG rating for the stream for a second.
So...
Ooh. Oh, no. Pat wins.
He's potentially...
Well, Iron Fist goes and...
Because you can advance to R&D a power to Enchantress here to steal a cube from Angela.
Yeah.
It might be a little tight, though.
He's got to move to the centre point and get a cube. And yeah, that's not in. Yeah, he's just going to go to the centre.
But he set up Angela right next to the Enchantress to pick up the cubes. And this is still a really dire situation for...
Yeah, Black Panther's going to get pushed further away. Angela's going to get dazed. She's going to drop a couple of cubes right next to Enchantress. Yeah. It's kind of something crazy has to happen. Okoye's dice need to explode. You need to kill most of Pat's team. I think at this point you have to ignore Nebula because she can't do anything on scenario. So you're saying I've got to KO Valkyrie. Seems like a good plan. Daze Angela. And do something about... Iron Fist is going to daze himself because he's got a cube. And do something about Okoye.
Yeah.
So with sort of 3 attacks, 2 from Okoye, 1 from Panther, you've got to take out 3 characters, I think. Oh, that's Josh's.
Well, no, Okoye's dead.
Oh, crikey, yes, his Okoye's gone.
Yep.
Oof.
It is only Panther and a 1 HP Shuri on the board. And so you do need to worry about taking out Nebula early because unless you activate Shuri first activation.
Yeah. No, this is... And Pat only needs 2 VPs. So just grabbing those 2 cubes with Enchantress and running away seems like a decent plan. Because Enchantress has taken no damage all game so far. So even Shuri's range 5 is not going to be able to...
Yeah, and Shuri can't output the damage to do it.
No.
And sadly, Iron Fist is dazed, so he can't heal us for hire to add an extra level of protection. But you can route the bodyguard from Okoye down that way, because Okoye has plenty of power to protect Enchantress.
There's no... Well, do you think maybe then his play with Angela going up to the top was in retrospect, looking back at the way Josh has played this game. Is that something that he might look back on and think I should have done that differently?
I think he will have thought he should have played it more for the extract game, and I also think he should think about whether Angela was the right choice for this game, considering how much she got controlled and whether or not going the 5-word option would have been better.
It certainly makes it easier, doesn't it? Because when you've got parity on numbers, you only need 1 days to flip the priority. Having already had the priority on the cubes and got to dictate that early round 1, then I can see, that might have worked out better for him. Because he's got Toad in his lineup, and Toad's very good on this setup with the cubes and range 2 interacting with the consoles as well. So Panther can come in, turn on rerolls, got Pounce as well. He can definitely deal with Valkyrie. I don't think he would struggle much to do that. But he's not going to... and he can maybe... No, he can't. A Pounce is not going to be enough to take out an Okoye.
No.
It's only going to make
the fun fact about Pounce that I learned recently. Pounce is not once per turn, it's once per activation.
Huh. So if you've got all you've got.
You can do 2 pounces in a turn, yeah.
Or Cosmic, yeah.
I have to confess, that's not something I'd ever noticed.
Yeah, I realized it during playing Dune Prophecy Black Panther during the League. Dune Prophecy, all you've got in a Black Panther getting double pounce in a turn is a lot of damage.
And 9 dice strikes with all the rerolls turned on seems pretty good.
Yeah.
So, Panther comes in, probably dazes Valkyrie. Got a bunch of power. Ooh, you can get Okoye if Okoye is within range of Panther's Spender. So the explosive force, if other characters within 2 of Black Panther are pushed away short and suffer a damage. So you could do 1 damage that way and then pounce into Okoye and do 3 more that way. So it is possible. It is possible for Panther to take out both Valkyrie and Okoye. Needs dice to go with him.
It needs some amazing...
Yeah, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
And he's looking at the VPs right now, but those VPs won't do anything for him.
Well, you say that. If he scores 8 this round, if he gets all 5 cubes and the 3 from Sword, he wins this round.
Yeah. But you have to deal with the Enchantress problem.
That's very true.
And I don't think he has a clean answer for the Enchantress problem.
I think it's Okoye, and of course not there anymore. What am I talking about? Yeah, so he's only got 2 characters. Yeah, and Shuri... I think
Shuri physically cannot kill Enchantress right now.
How much power is she on? 4. She can if she walks Sonic Crushes.
Unless you're activating Shuri first to do that, she won't be able to walk Sonic Crush, because activating Enchantress, pick up both cubes, double move away. With flying, so you can end up on top of that 5/5 building.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have to be Shuri first. But anything else you do with Panther is kind of moot. So I think you've got to deal with Enchantress. And now he's wishing he had that field dressing.
And the other major thing is that if Shuri would go for that Sonic Crush, she does not have the power to spend for enchanting, so Enchantress does get the 5 defense dice.
Yeah, it's got the dice have got to go with you, but he's looking for outs here, and I think activating Black Panther, he just loses the game. Because taking those 2 cubes away means the most he can score is 6. So it's going to go to 14, 16. And there's a decent chance that Pat retains control of the consoles anyway.
Yeah, just because of Valkyrie, who has a solid amount of power. Just being able to double walk, throw onto Shuri in a way where she might be able to just stay Shuri. Throw her off into the bus stop, and the subway entrance.
What do you make of Nebula in this team for Pat? You think she's done enough to justify her inclusion?
Yeah. she's eaten a lot of attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just those 2 attacks she took off Angela in the throw, basically activating Angela on a really important turn. I think that was definitely something that...
Well, and I think more importantly, it's you have her for the 5 white option at 14.
Yep. But, I mean,
And against other 5 white teams, she's going to perform much more noticeably than she did in this game.
And in the middle rounds, it gives you a really nice first activation because people are going to be standing on points or with extracts, and you want to save your control characters to go last. So having someone who just go, well, I'm very happy with Nebula going first. That's fine. She'll hopefully do some attrition work.
It's one more thing to think around as well. One more thing to plan around. Go, well, that's great. I can stick somebody on this point, but then Nebula comes in and mangles them.
Mm.
No.
So yeah, it looks like that Finstar is going over all of their options, but
Well, I think that the decision tree comes down to, can I deal with Enchantress or deal with Enchantress, and all the Panther choices come sort of secondary to that. What about the use of Wakanda Forever earlier? Because that was to daze Valkyrie, wasn't it? That's what it achieved. But then she undazed and...
yeah, stuck around.
She was just able to undaze almost and just wander off and swing the sword consoles back. So, I'm trying to think, did you see any other opportunities to play it?
Well, I think having it now
would have been...
would be useful. Pat controlled Black Panther very well, and with the Okoye gone now, it's not great. It's always difficult to judge, and if you think you're going to get 3 victory points, then that's a great use of Wakanda Forever.
There's going to be a lot to talk about with the participants at the end of this game, I think.
Yeah. It looks like Josh is set on Panther doing something. I feel like that's just going to result in Enchantress gone. But maybe he's going to go, well, I feel like this game is gone and I just want to do as much damage as I can in the meantime.
Yeah. The other thing I would want to bring up is the threat choice, the objective choice.
Yep. I mean, maybe he hadn't considered Pat going wide like this, unaffiliated, but it's clearly bad with a 6 threat leader, essentially a 6 threat leader. Okay, Panther is paying 3 by the looks of it for his spender attack, possibly. Kinetic burst. No, maybe not.
I mean,
there, I think they're measuring to see what the bodyguard range, but it's not. Okay, here comes the dice. Oof. The dice have not been kind to Josh today. Pat's had some good dice, and Josh has had some unfortunate dice. Because with only a single attack, he was really hoping to do 5 damage. Or at least enough that you could pounce into Valkyrie. So she takes 1. And he's going to be pushing Nebula and doing a damage to her because of the effect on the spender. It's not that often you see Black Panther use it, but when you get a clustered up group, it can do a lot. I've gone, To all the things he's done to a big group cluster, particularly against defenders. It's a really good option. They often tend to clump up.
Yeah. Defenders it tends to be a death ball strategy.
Yeah. I mean, it's more a defense ball, but they also then send out horrible psychic blasts and sonic bolts and all sorts. Valkyrie gets pushed away 2. He's cleared that point and can pay to flip it. Hasn't got a great pounce target now, though.
And that's all of his actions.
Yep.
And Valkyrie can just come back and flip that point again if it matters.
Yeah. Okay, Valkyrie's going.
Cutting off the last activation, potentially.
Well, probably saying you don't get to do anything. And then I'm going to score even more victory points because I'm going to pick up the cubes and then come and flip.
Yeah, pick up 2 off of... 2 with... 1 with Valkyrie, 2 with Okoye, and 2 with Enchantress.
Yep.
And then it doesn't matter what the...
So here's a charge into probably a probably just a Warrior of Legend to keep the 1 power. Hasn't even paid for that. It's just going. I can do this with my innate dice. Or I've got the power to throw you into something if I need to. So that's going to do the 1. Currently got a crit and probably Wakanda reroll. Yeah, that's guaranteed now. That's a Dazed Fury, dropping a cube, picked up by Valkyrie, who isn't in range to flip the point, but doesn't need to be.
Yeah, so this is pretty well shut out at this point.
Yeah.
It's just going through the motions of the rest of it.
And they might be calling it there.
So pick up 2 points and then go for the 50-50 on the sword console, just to...
And then Enchantress.
You would probably actually activate Enchantress first, because I imagine she's within range 3 of Black Panther, and then you could Siren's Call Black Panther away. Right there.
Yeah, just move up Siren's Call. And then Okoye can move on and flip it, or you can use Advanced R&D. Yeah.
And so that is...
Just like 3.
5 plus 3 plus 8.
Yeah, it's got all the cubes.
22 to 8 is the final score there.
And he's got 2 activations left with Okoye and Nebula.
Okoye's been hoovered up the two cubes there.
Okay, I missed that. Yeah.
That was a fascinating game.
Yeah, right from the off. So we're gonna hop back over, guys. If you want to join us in the other channel, and we'll have a chat with the players, see what they're saying. Hey guys, you're on the stream now.
Forward. Oh, hello.
Hey guys, carry on your discussion. I think it's interesting to hear what you guys are talking about just between each other.
We were just talking about the squad composition and how interesting it was that, as we know, I played against Wakanda in the previous round on this crisis, and I went 4 wide and Wakanda went 5, and then this flipped around, and we were talking about the pros and cons of the team size, and we were just talking about Angela and how she is fantastic in this matchup, but was it right to go 4 wide to fit her in?
Yeah, against Strange, and we talked about it during the setup, that the board has plenty of terrain that Angela can throw, but she didn't get off her Angelic Assassin. She didn't have generated enough power for attacks. You know, when she gets on a roll, she really just is a self-generating machine. But I did not expect him to go 5 wide without Strange, and I thought Angela would have done a great job against Strange here, just throwing terrain into him in physical attacks. But no, he's going last, and a few sort of missteps from my behalf definitely gave Pat the strong advantage.
So, what have you identified already you think was a misstep?
I think putting Angela over this side initially because she had to sort of move up on top of the building, whereas if she'd started down here, she could have got within one of that point straight away and then moved to the middle point. So she could have flipped 2 on the opening, which was my intent, but because I misstepped in the play there, she couldn't get within 1 straight away.
Yeah, and then that meant that Pat could ignore her at the top and sort of skew down to the other side of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. What else did you pick up?
We were talking about your use of Wakanda Forever. How do you feel about that and the timing of that?
Yeah, it was definitely a bit early. I don't like to use it unless I get maximum value, but I needed to kind of swing control back. And I'm not sure I would have got another opportunity maybe in that turn 3 when everyone was clustered, but it kind of did what it needed to do, generate the power, push people off. But, it was probably a tad early.
It got you 2 dazes, right, before I activated, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, I did not see that field dressing coming, though. I hadn't considered that, I'll just move up field dressing Valkyrie, and then she does what Valkyrie does.
Yeah, with all the power.
Yeah,
that was a very big play, right? That really swung because it absolutely countered your Wakanda early aggression. Yeah. I was wondering during that turn if I also should have used all you've got, but it just seemed unnecessary, right? My game plan was constantly just trying to activate last, stay on the portals, and spending all you've got to do some extra damage to Angela or Black Panther didn't seem especially relevant. So I was very happy with the way it turned out and just scoring the points.
Yeah, I don't think there was an opportunity where you needed to play it. I personally, I see all you've got as a clawback mechanic, or someone's about to be dazed where Valkyrie's on 5 power and you're behind, but your play that was there was correct. Move up, throw someone off, flip the point, guaranteed. You don't need to use it. And you've already used field dressing, so it's less of a good idea, I think.
Agreed. I was really happy I saved it because that situation where Okoye did advance and shot Black Panther, that was, I don't know the exact odds, I guess they're about 50% or worse, like a coin toss, but I knew I had all you've got, so I had 3 chances of taking him out if I needed them, so I was very pleased to have that available.
Yeah.
So we've got a question.
And you did well with Okoye over here, sorry, before you ask your question, because I had 6 power on her, and had wanted to just straight up field dressing and med pack Panther when Okoye was still down there. But, tough decisions. And like I said, my characters, or my rolling, my placement, all of the above didn't really get me the position where I was able to start dazing and removing characters like I wanted to.
Yeah, the push in that turn really helped me a lot, right? Because it was quite an unusual push, but it moved Okoye to a place where she was more vulnerable to be killed by Nebula, and couldn't just field dressing Panther straight away. And that added up to make your turn much harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before I ask the question in the chat, I'm going to go to Pat. Pat, can you talk about why Nebula's in this team?
I want to go 5 wide, and my choices, I've got 2 teams which I think are good. I can do 4 defenders with Luke Cage and Hawkeye instead of Enchantress and Nebula, or Enchantress and Okoye, and do 4 3-cost characters and a 2-cost. And basically, I think Iron Fist and Valkyrie are always going to be here in this matchup because their extra power means they can, as they did in this game, they can advance, take a cube, and then get a point. So they're a shoo-in. And I probably want Okoye because she's just good, and I want as many cheap scores as possible.
Yep.
So then it comes down to, do I go for Luke Cage and Hawkeye or Enchantress and Nebula? And I see Nebula and Hawkeye having quite a lot of overlap in the sense that, yes, Hawkeye can score points, but he's not at his best sitting around the consoles, right? So I don't think he is particularly well suited to this crisis, and I don't think Nebula's particularly well suited. But I also think that Luke Cage is quite mediocre against Wakanda, where he's just going to spend all his time double moving and getting pushed. And I thought, if I have Enchantress, then I can save her to activate last, and she is going to do so much on this crisis. And I think the game played out to prove me right, because her every single activation that she had was incredible.
Yeah, but then that leads on to Utility Cookie's question, Josh, which is for you, which is how much Nebula influenced your plays?
Yeah, I think the positioning, the only one she really influenced when she was down here, and I kind of made an assumption that Angela with a reroll, 6 dice into 3 with a reroll was likely to be able to daze. I don't know if in my mind I was looking at power management and going, how can I pick up the cube, throw a truck, daze her, generate some power, and then do an angelic assassin. I didn't really consider her other than that.
Lex, have you got any questions?
I wanted to talk about a play that really caught me and Xavier off guard, but I think ended up being very pivotal, which was Pat, you moving Iron Fist off of this far point to draw Shuri away from Revol's range. Was that the intended point of that, or did you just want to get Iron Fist into the mix?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought, I don't need to win all of these points. I knew that I had the field dressing Valkyrie option to score the middle and one side. And I thought, look, if Iron Fist moves here, best case scenario for me, he takes out Shuri, fantastic, right? Worst case, he doesn't, and then Shuri has to either run away from him, stay where she is and not score any more points, or go over here and lose the ability to give out rerolls. And I can then just have Iron Fist deal with her in future rounds. He didn't deal with her in the end, but yeah, absolutely. I was thinking I don't need all three, and pulling Shuri away is going to work out to my advantage.
Yeah, we were talking in the in commentary during the match about how you have this habit of giving your opponent just all bad options. Like none of these things were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I thought about, can I try and keep the point? But I think the way that Sword works, especially when we have these teams that have it in mind, right? But they've got a good number of pushes and control. It doesn't really matter what you do with your early activations as much, although obviously sometimes it's very important. But what matters more is the last activation, right? Because with the last activation, you can get so many victory points. And so that was why I had Nebula. It was okay that she can't interrupt the crisis, because if she goes early in a round, it just doesn't matter. And it was why I made that kind of play with Iron Fist. Whatever Shuri does, I can then react to it and counter it to score the requisite number of points.
Looking ahead then, Pat, you had Wakanda to get into the top 16. You've just beat Wakanda in the top 16, and you've got a match against Wakanda next round as well. I guess you've got a lot of practice.
3 Wakanda games. That's cool.
It's a
I
lost
will
one
say,
there, though.
yeah, you are facing the last Wakanda in this top 16, which coming out from 5 in top 16 in the cut is really low conversion rates for what we traditionally see of Wakanda.
Well, I mean, getting into the cut is a big achievement in itself, right? And these games are all very close, so that they could go either way. So, I don't know, I feel like with this kind of sample size, I wouldn't draw a conclusion to say Wakanda is struggling. I think all the games have been, like I said, could be decided in completely the other direction.
Josh, have you got a take on whether you think how much of an impact the new rerolls have affected Wakanda?
Not really. It is a little bit of overspend here and there, but I think, the more it's sat with me, the more it makes sense. It tunes them down a little bit, and there were a couple of occasions where I spent power and sort of wasted because I didn't need to, but I don't think it's terrible. Wakanda still has the automatic push. They've still got strong defenses in Okoye and Panther, and Shuri, when she generates power and hands out rerolls, is still very good. It's not a massive nerf if we're finally playing it correctly. So I think they're still highly viable.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in this game, it was noticeable that you used some power that you wouldn't have needed to use under the old system, but I also didn't notice that power would have been especially critical elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Pat, you didn't seem to bother using your tactics cards. That just not necessary?
Well, yeah. So advanced R&D was specifically for turn 1, so that in many ways that the first turn plays out, I can activate either Valkyrie or Enchantress last.
Yep.
They can get a power from Nebula, and they can double move onto a point, move someone off, and claim it automatically.
Yep.
So that was to help ensure that I could win turn 1. And then I kept it in mind throughout the game, but it just didn't really need... there was never a point where it came up after that. Heroes for hire, because Iron Fist went off on his own, he didn't get much use out of it. It would have been great in the next round, right?
Yep.
Stopping Angela from assassinating somebody. And all you've got, we talked about, I had several opportunities, but I just was lucky enough not to need them with the way my dice panned out.
And the
we had...
Bitter Rivals, it was slightly awkward because I was expecting 5 characters from Fink.
Yeah.
And when it was 4 characters and one was here and one was here and one in the middle had already activated, I was like, this isn't going to do very much. So what I decided to do was just hold it in case Fink had such a good turn that priority flipped. And I thought I'll just keep it in my back pocket, so if things really spiral out of control, I'll activate with priority and I use that to catch back up.
We had talked a little bit during that Shuri turn about the potential for Iron Fist to he was for hire himself.
Yeah, that was something I was considering as well. I decided it wasn't necessary. I thought it would be pretty trivial because I didn't see it being a particularly big impact. I probably should have checked to see if Shuri would have been thrown into this. But looking at the measurement, probably not. But yeah, it was something I considered. I think I probably, in hindsight, should have used Iron Fist to Heroes for Hire to save Nebula from being dazed on the second attack from Angela. Oh no, she didn't daze, but just to save Nebula from being attacked the second time by Angela. That could have been quite influential because it would get Iron Fist into the middle and in a position where he could actually use his fist on somebody.
And Josh...
Joshua.
No, you go.
How did you feel your field dressing play on Black Panther? Do you think it was too risky? Did you think you just had to and see if he could daze him again? Did you feel it was the correct play, or would you done it the other way around, or something different in hindsight?
Yeah, it was a tough call because, like I said to Pat earlier, initially Okoye had, I think, 6 power, and she had enough to move field dressing and to Medpack Panther, which was the dream. It probably would have been better used on Angela this turn, because she may have made an impact and been able to actually get off a throw and 3 attacks with the Angelic Assassin. Yeah, it was a tough call. I think there was probably a better timed and saved it, but it was very risky for sure. I just looked at it. I'm behind. I'm getting characters dazed and removed. I'm getting out activated. The game plan isn't working. I need to try and force him out of position or to react.
Yeah, I think because you had another option to medpack Angela to stop her from auto dazing from the cubes. Might have been the play at that point, and then had the field dressing. Yeah, maybe that would have been a different way around.
Yeah,
but I totally understand what you mean.
Yeah,
you've got to try and make something
a better
happen.
one.
And if the dice had gone your way,
power. Yeah, no, you're right. I think the Angela one was a good idea as well.
Anything else from anybody else? You got any other questions?
Well, how do you guys feel about sword base? Because I played it a lot, and I feel it's a little bit too oppressive. Because to me, turn 1, it usually comes down to a 50-50. And the one who gets it is has such a big advantage. Three victory points and a guaranteed push anywhere on the board, any character, any direction. I feel the one who's winning it has such a big advantage. I think it's too much for such a 50-50 kind of objective, personally.
Fink, what do you think?
I think, look, it's definitely a hard swing, and that's kind of why people play it as well. But as you saw, the 50-50, is exactly that. There were some roles there that could have gone my way and didn't. I think there's affiliations out there that can tech for it, because one thing I noted when trying to decide between throwing down Sword or Gamma was that Gamma you don't need to spend power to secure, whereas Sword you do, and you need to manage your power effectively, which is a little bit trickier with the correct reroll mechanics now. So, but the push is just gravy. I really like the scenario personally because I played the Vibranium Heist kit and thoroughly enjoyed that, where you have to get the consoles and you get the security systems push. So I think my first example of playing this was with Vibranium Heist, and then Sword came out. So I actually have a positive association with it, despite getting, slapped around by Pat on it.
I think it's. Yeah, sorry, you go, Pat.
I don't love it. I like playing it. I think it's a really fun crisis to play. I agree that it's unfortunate that it's such a big swing to whoever gets the points, and that the points are so random. And you're right, most games, at least once in the course of a game, and often more, it will come down to a 50-50 to determine a 6 victory point swing at the push. So I don't love that. The other thing, but I do think the game is really fun to play with it. So I don't mind to play it. I think that's cool. I don't love that it's 14 threat, because it rewards you so much for having a wider team than your opponent. Not only because it makes it easier to activate Sword, but more powerful characters get punished more by the push. So, this is a crisis where if you could just play 7 2-cost characters, you probably would. And so I don't love that this crisis is so swingy to the person that's winning and is at such a low level, because it means a lot of teams, especially teams with 5-threat leaders, can't necessarily compete on it as they would like. You kind of basically, I think it's okay, but you just have to have a 5-wide 14-threat team composition in your roster. Is my takeaway. If you don't have that, then people are going to select it with priority and still activate last, and you're going to get punished.
I think teams like Black Order are literally shut off. But if you play this at 14 and against them, I would have liked it better if the push was anybody contesting the console. So if
push away from the console,
and only one character contesting. So if nobody's contesting it, you don't get pushed. So it feels like a security system, but it's not. It feels like the security system should secure the consoles, not like the whole board. That's what I feel. But maybe someone leave it into
There is
one.
There is a lot to like about this crisis, though. It
creates
fixes
a very cool narrative.
And it fixes the problem that Deadly Meteors has, which was the random number generators, and sometimes you just lose because you miss that 7 out of 8 chance of flipping a console. Just that the auto flip is a big upgrade, I think, in terms of crisis design. I like the C shape and that sort of the dynamic it creates of sort of making the board flip, and you can often play across the board, east to west rather than north to south. So I like that kind of the shape of it as well. And it's nice. There's kind of a general recurring theme that secures tend to be good if you don't have priority, and extracts tend to be good if you do have priority. There are exceptions, obviously, but that's sort of the overarching kind of way they tend to work. So having another one that is, this is a bit like Gamma. This is really good to go last on.
Yeah.
So
and I think that think that helps offset it, right? Because it makes it harder to force on your opponent.
Yeah.
Because if you're acting with priority and they can have as many characters as you, then it's not really in your interest to force it.
You got it. You pick secures and prevent them from taking it, so it comes up. Your way of avoiding it is if you can both go equally wide on 14, is to just say, well, I'll take secures and pick something else.
Yep.
And Joshua, in hindsight, would you still have taken Sword Base with your priority going for secures and picking it? Or would you rather go for Gamma?
Absolutely. No, I played out, as I spoke about on Strike Better, my analysis on Pat was absolutely he wants Demons at 19, and that goes terribly wrong for me. Noting he had Gamma in his roster as well, I didn't really want to give him Gamma with him moving second. I think this one, had I have played Sword at 5 wide, the same that Shadow Marvel had played, then potentially that would have been a better decision. I just had expected that Pat would play Strange like he did and go 4 wide, and I thought going 4 wide against 4 wide was a good decision. If I discarded Sword, and it's between Gamma and Demons, 100% I'm picking Gamma. There's no way I wanted to give Pat Demons, regardless of me choosing the threat.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yep.
And you're right, I would have picked Secures as well, just to avoid this situation.
Yeah.
Great, guys. Well, really entertaining match. Lots to talk about. Thank you so much for letting us stream it. And Art, thank you for judging on the table. And Pat, we look forward to seeing you up against Mike DeLuca in the top 8. Congratulations.
Well, I look forward to seeing that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for a fantastic game, Fink.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Jacob, for streaming. And thanks to Art for judging, Line Judge, Norbert, and everyone. Thank you very much.